So hopefully, with all the lessons that we have covered so far, all that information is going to basically be coming to this very point, this really important lesson about knowing who your audience actually is. It's great that you have defined your services, and it's great that you might have a bit of a feel about what industry that you may or may not want to operate those services in. But ultimately though, once you've come to those decisions, you need to sit down and do some research about actually who the people are that you might be speaking to, and ultimately who are going to be agreeing to pay you for your services. So this is why this is so important, because a lot of freelancers miss this, a lot of businesses miss this in actually truly understanding who their customers are. In the marketing world, this process is called the development of audience personas. Now, it's a phrase which you'll probably come across just doing marketing at large. And as much as you might be making personas for other clients, it's really important that you actually use this process and create some audience personas for yourself. An audience persona is essentially a single page document which lists out who it is you're actually wanting to be speaking to. That includes things like their name and age, potentially their interests, but most importantly, two key things come down to the content that they might be interested in and the kind of pains and problems and challenges which they are facing in their role in the business. So just say you wanted to offer digital marketing services to the fitness industry. Offering your services to the fitness industry is still super broad. I mean, who is it that you are actually wanting to offer your services to? Do you want to be offering digital marketing to individual personal trainers? Do you want to be working with small gyms? Or do you want to be working with major clothing and supplement brands which are span across the world? Although they're all in the fitness industry, the actual people that you need to get in front of in order to get that work are going to be very different. So it makes sense to go about researching who these people are, what they're interested in, and essentially this allows you to create marketing and to project yourself in such a way which means that whatever you do will resonate a lot more closely with them, so that hopefully they will be hiring you to take on some of their work. First of all, I've put a really good beginner's guide to creating audience personas in the link, so you check that out. It's really, really useful and will actually give you a very granular process of how to go about and create these personas. At this stage though, I would go out and I would identify 3 businesses that you really want to work with. You might not have the skills necessarily to work with them at the moment, but just in a kind of ideal world scenario, these would be the kind of people that you'd be looking to work towards sometime in the future. With those businesses, what is really useful is to go and explore who is actually running them. So that often is just a case of a lot of Googling. It's looking at their about pages, their team pages, their company pages, taking that information, and if you can find a name associated with that, go out and try and find them on LinkedIn. That's normally the best port of call for finding personal information about people who run businesses. From there, you can potentially find out the things they're interested in, and potentially you can also find out the other social media channels they can be on. If someone is on Twitter, for example, that is a great source of information about the things that they find interesting, the bits of content that they share, and the other people they interact with. Now from there, you will start to build up just quite naturally a bit of a picture about who it is you actually need to get in front of. If it's a larger business, then ultimately you probably be talking to a marketing manager or the head of marketing, or it might be someone below that who specialises just in social media or looking after their community management, for example. If they're smaller businesses, then ultimately it's going to be the business owner that you're going to be speaking to. And in either of those instances, the way that you're going to be talking to them, the way that you're going to be pitching your services is going to be different. So when it actually comes to it, what this means is that by really understanding who it is you're trying to get in front of, transforms the way that you're going to be writing the copy on your website. The way that the photography that you might use is going to be presented in a slightly different way. The way that you talk to them is also going to be different. So to give you an example about the type of clients that I work with at the moment, most of them are individuals who run a small company, or in other occasions they have small teams of maybe 2, 3, 4 employees that work for them. So they're small businesses. When that comes to selling to them, it means that I'm working directly with the person who runs the business rather than with a marketing manager or marketing executive. Now, if you were to put yourself in the shoes of that business owner, do they really need to know all the ins and outs of digital marketing? Most of the time, no. They've got a curiosity and a slight interest in what it is you do and potentially how you do it. But at the end of the day, they're there to run a business. Digital marketing is just one arm of many other things that they have to look after. So essentially they are looking for someone who is professional and reliable and can communicate whatever it is they're doing in a way that they can understand. If I was sitting down and talking with a marketing manager of a much larger company, I would be completely reframing that conversation. I'd be very much talking to them about the specifics of marketing or the latest Google updates, very technical, very granular information, again, for me to be able to demonstrate my expertise, but in a different way. This all comes back to the way I've tried to present myself online, particularly when it comes to content. A lot of the content which I try and share on both social media and in terms of writing blog posts on my website are there to demonstrate my expertise, but don't go into too much of granular level of detail. A lot of them are very much an overview about a given topic, but topics that a business owner would find interesting rather than a marketing manager would find interesting. To give you an example, I recently wrote a post about how the Museum in English Rural Life has done an amazing job with their social media strategy. The post itself gives a good overview about strategically how an organisation of that size runs their social media really well. So I can potentially share that with one of my clients and say, look, these are the kinds of things that you should be thinking about. If, on the other hand, I was wanting to get in front of larger businesses which had hired marketing managers and marketing execs and marketing teams, that article, you could still cover the same topic, but what it would do is go into a hell of a lot more detail. It would have a lot more look at the analytics and would essentially be a lot more of a technical post that would give a marketing manager some added value in terms of explaining to them actually how they could do it on a step-by-step basis. Whereas the business owner just wants to know, these are the things that you could potentially do. It's one of those hard things to actually map out. And when you're sitting here starting about sort of how to do digital marketing, how to set up a freelance digital marketing business, this isn't something you have to have absolutely nailed down. At this stage, I'm conscious of the fact that this is a lot of information to take in. And it's one of those things that when you're defining your audience, there's no right or wrong rules as to what it might be. You can change this as you go along. And it's one of those things where as long as you've got an idea, and ideally a firm idea of who it is you're actually talking to, it is really important to identify that so that ultimately all the marketing collateral you create going forwards and the way you present yourself online resonates a lot more closely with whoever it is going to be hiring your services. So as an action on this lesson then, I would highly recommend you go away and find 3 businesses that you'd like to be working with. Go try and find them online, see what they're interested in, see what they're talking about on social media, and from there you can try to build up a bit of an understanding about how it is you should position yourself in the marketplace.